Canada's new Feminist International Assistance Policy, FIAP, was released by the Minister of International Development and La Francophonie, Marie-Claude Bibeau, on June 9, 2017, after consultations with Canadians, including Canadian civil society organizations. This policy represented a significant rhetorical shift in Canada's international presence. Under the previous administration, the Foreign Ministry, currently known as Global Affairs Canada, was subject to rounds of funding cuts and existed within a culture of silence rather than leadership and action. This policy represented an encouraging and positive shift forward in a journey towards transformative change. Canada chose to focus its efforts on gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls across 5 additional action areas, including human dignity, with areas of focus on health and nutrition, including sexual and reproductive health and rights, education, and humanitarian assistance. Inclusive growth, including economic leadership and access to economic opportunities, particularly in agriculture, decent work and property rights, financial inclusion, technical and vocational training, social protection, and the burden of care. Environment and climate action, which considers gender-responsive climate plans and leadership, as well as renewable energy as a critical piece of the climate change mitigation puzzle. Inclusive governance, including women's leadership and governance, strengthening legal systems, improving access to justice, supporting female human rights defenders, and having more responsive public services. And peace and security, which supports women's rights organizations' engagement in peace processes, advancing women's rights in post-conflict state building, and seriously addressing sexual violence in conflict zones. One critique of the Feminist International Assistance Policy is that it is gender-focused, not gender-transformative. There is little discussion of how to combat structural and systemic inequalities, multiple and interconnected forms of discrimination, and traditional gendered roles and gender relations, all of which underpin gender inequity and inequality. The most significant issue with the policy, however, is the lack of new funding. The $150 million fund for women's rights organizations was not in addition to the existing international assistance envelope. At the field level, this means that organizations that were not particularly engaged in gender-related development projects are rushing to reframe existing projects without serious consideration of whether the projects fit the goals of the Feminist International Assistance Policy.